Hello there, wherever you may be listening or watching us. This is Melbourne Real. Got it right this time.
Nice one.
Melbourne Real. I've decided to use inspirational speaker now. And master engineer Tony Jack the Bear Mantz, and alongside with my co-host, singer, songwriter, bass player for Damn the Maps, and all-round knowledge keeper of all kinds of stuff. Smartest people I know. Martin Green.
Yo.
Hey, mate. How are you?
How you doing?
And,
Very good, sir.
Yeah. And today we're joined alongside with a special guest, Gabriel Vargas, singer-songwriter, musician, and a good friend of mine. And thanks for coming along, mate.
Thanks for having me.
And thanks for stepping in last minute, because we were supposed to have Phil Kay on today, and unfortunately, just due to things, Phil could make it in today, so he apologises, but we'll get him on another time. But thank you for coming in a short notice, Gab.
Hey,
it's
great
to have
be
you
here. Thank you.
along board. So Gab,
Yo.
how have you been, mate?
I've been good, man.
Excellent.
I've been really good.
Excellent. For those of you who don't know, I met Gab. Gab came to me as a client, very much like you, Martin. One of the, I think, as I told you, I don't generally tend to hang out with many people I work with, because my professional work is my professional work. But not that I get on great with everyone I work with, but they're just those people that come along that you have a particular connection with. You just click on a certain level and just think, Yeah. And Gab was one of those guys that fell into that 0.2%. I think we worked it. we worked it out. So anyway, Gab.
Yeah, I remember actually, before we go on, I remember that quite vividly, because we were recording. I was in a band called Veludo, and we recorded with Jimmy Marutis, and I want to go get this mastering done. We thought Jack the Bear. Everyone's talking about Jack the Bear, and so I wanted to go in there, and I remember, we got into you've got an amazing space. If you've ever been, I'm sure you have, Martin. But for those of you that don't, if you go into Jack's mastering studio, it is like the most amazing space. Like, just the whole energy of the room is beautiful, and I just remember going there, this place is awesome. And we kicked back, and Jack's such an awesome man, and I think we just started talking about some conspiracy theory stuff, or maybe it was some consciousness shit, I can't remember, but straight away I was like, I like this guy.
Yeah, man.
And so I'm glad we've, maintained that friendship since. It's been really cool.
No, most excellent. And for those who don't know, Gab also has a half-brother who, he changed back to his original name.
Yeah. So we both did, actually. So Hitia Lumumba, he's a half brother, but I consider him a brother.
He's a brother.
Yeah,
he's a brother.
And he's a good mate of mine. I've got another brother, and we're all mates, we're all best friends, and a sister as well. So it's all good.
Yeah. So and Gab wrote a book called "Being Cool is Conscious."
Oh, Hitia did. My brother did. Yeah.
And when he was known
being cool is conscious, or being conscious is cool?
Being conscious is cool.
Being conscious is cool, right?
Yeah, something along those lines.
Anyway.
It's cool to be conscious.
It's cool to be.
There we go.
I got it right. Anyway, and for those of you who know, I'm not a great reader of books. I just don't read. I'll read blogs. but I don't really read books. And but I made a commitment to read the book. And I think it was 14 shits it took me to get through it.
I do my reading in there as well, man.
So and it was a great book, and he's a great guy, man. I was lucky enough to meet him. You were kind enough to take me and my young son Andreas to go to the Melbourne Football Club rooms after the game, an AFL game, and that was a great experience for him. And meeting. Well, I still know him as Harry, man.
No.
But anyhow, so what have you been up to, man?
Man, I've been up to a lot. I've been through a bit of a transition. As I mentioned before, I was in a band called Veludo, and it was probably about this time last year. Actually, we kind of folded. We did fold. We didn't kind of fold, but just got to the point where not everyone was on the same page. I think, energetically, and the vision of what we were going and what we were doing. We spent a lot of money, trying to get the best sound and thing that we could, and I think it just wore its toll on everyone. So I've been through a bit of a transition, and just sort of recently have started getting myself out there as a solo musician.
Because you were the singer?
I was a singer, singer-songwriter, and
did you write all the songs, or did you?
Yeah, lyrically I always wrote, and then every now and then I'd come up with my own the music as well, but. It's only been a really short journey for me. It's been my first gig was in 2009. So as a musician, it's only been about 6 years that I've been in the caper, but I've enjoyed the ride, and I just feel like I'm at a point now where I'm really clear about what it is I want to do. And
what do you want to do? Tell us about it.
Well, I've kept the name Veludo, so the band is no longer, but I've spent the last year working out how am I going to do this? How am I going to restructure the next phase of my musical life. And I decided to keep the name because it means velvet in Portuguese. It's about texture, and I didn't want to have my own name being the solo thing, so I wanted to be more about a collaboration with other artists, other musicians. So it's more of a platform where I could be anywhere, anytime, and collaborate with anyone. From, it doesn't have to be music; it could be like a painter, anything, whatever. But in that moment, that's where Veludo sort of is born.
There's a lot of acts doing the same thing.
Yeah, right.
Big Data is one that just every song except one has the guest guy on it,
right?
Or the guest person.
Yeah, yeah.
Kimbra to whoever appears. There's a bunch of them. That's about all I can think off the top of my head. But there's shitloads of them, right?
And I think it was because I do have. I love all different types of music, all different types of art. So for me, it was just how am I gonna express all that in. It's all these different facets, and one thing I love is connecting with people and learning about them and what they do. And so I thought, okay, well, I'm going to keep Veludo and just use that as a platform to let stuff come through. Like, that's a vessel, And so I'm actually just getting to that point now, getting the website, the photo shoots, all that done, so I can start putting stuff out there and enjoying the next phase of this musical career that I've embarked on.
And you've written some songs?
Yeah, I've got some songs. So I'm probably going to head into the studio with Jimmy Marudis, which is how we met Jack here, and start with a single and kick things off and just focus on just connecting. I think that's the main thing, is just connections, and that doesn't necessarily mean just like doing the old-fashioned way of gigging, but things like this, like a podcast, and connecting with people on an online sort of medium as well. Mm-hmm. So I'm really looking forward to the next phase of it, and I'm excited, and it's kind of scary at the same time because it's the first time I'm doing it by myself without having that, support for the other members around. So
it is harder.
Yeah,
it is harder.
Yeah.
But it forces you to be resourceful.
Yeah, and really look into yourself as well. Like, I struggle with structure, and being a creative is like all these ideas and everything's going on out here, but if I don't have that structure, then it's hard to sort of let that unfold. So you're learning about yourself as well. How can I improve? How can I better myself?
So when you say you struggle with structure, you mean you need to have it in place, or you find a structured environment difficult?
Yeah, I think a structured environment is hard. Like I think that's why I chose to be a musician, because it's you're in control of your own destiny. But to also be in control of your own destiny, you have to develop skills which are gonna help you achieve the vision that you want to achieve, and that takes a lot of introspection, a lot of understanding of what makes you tick, how you operate, and I'm all about improving and self-growth, and then obviously passing that on to others so that they can do the same. And I think that's the overall vision of Veludo, is to inspire people, to find their own purpose and create, because we're not put on this earth to do the 9-to-5 thing. I think everyone's got a gift, and it's just a matter of finding it, and then once they do, they can share that with the world.
Yeah.
Is there anyone else doing something similar to what you're doing? Any groups or any collaborative type artists? Another one that comes to mind is Handsome Boy Modelling School. That's all they were. It was just 3 DJs plus all the guests.
Yeah.
Is anyone else sort of doing something similar to what you're looking at doing?
You know what? I haven't really researched it into like who is doing that in particular. I mean, what I do, like artists that have, I guess they can put a different cap on depending on the situation. So I look up to people like Jamie Foxx, that's like comedian, is an actor, he plays the piano, is just like, and just embraces all those different elements of him. And I'm a bit like that.
That was a surprise, wasn't it? That he said Jamie Foxx. Of all the people that
Why?
I think, no, it's a massive surprise.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
yeah. I wasn't expecting you to say that. That's good.
No, and so I sort of see myself as having that kind of personality where 1 minute I'm writing something, or I'm singing, or the next minute I'm telling a joke, or I'm dressing up like an idiot, and I wanted that to express itself, but I also wanted to connect with others that can meet me at those points, and we can have a laugh, and we can have some fun, and we can talk about crazy shit that's going on in the world, all these different things. And I think it's more than just the music. It's a stream. It's an energy that's coming through, but music's just my way of telling it at times.
Gab, what crazy shit's going on in the world?
Fucking hell, mate. Jesus. Seriously, we talk about, it's cool to be conscious, and I think there comes a point, and probably my life was about 6 years ago, I guess, and where you start kind of awakening up to what's going on in the world, and I think for me, that's what consciousness is. It's being aware of yourself, of what's going on around you, how you behave, what your belief systems are. Do they serve you? Are they there to stop you? All these kind of things that just happen. And I think you get to that kind of matrix level thing where you just start, oh, wow, like I can see how that's connected. How's my position in this? And so in terms of the crazy shit going on, I think, mate, it's so many layers. Like, where do you start? You know, like the whole conditioning of our way of being, the whole, you know, stuck to this sort of system of money, and how do you remove yourself from it? At some point or another, it's hard because we're all hypocrites in a way. We can sit here and point fingers and say, oh, fuck, you know, I hate money, or I don't like this. But at some level or another, we're all plugged in, and it's a challenge to navigate our way through it. But when you meet like-minded people, it's good to know that, hey, I'm not the only one.
Yeah. We're all plugged into a point. I think you're right, and I think some of us more so than others.
Yeah.
Depending on what you want, or what you think you're probably conditioned to want, or what you're raised to believe. I mean, I think we touched on, I think sometime on one podcast, was about the whole, you know, parents forcing you to go to university, effectively.
That's been a bit of a running theme, that one, and it's true.
And so, based on what a lot of the times what your parents strived for, and that was a house and fancy cars and good clothes and all that sort of stuff. A lot of the times we do. You know, a lot of us are locked into that mechanism pertaining to money, that you're in this constant grasp for money, but at the same time you're watching your kids you're not watching your kids. That's the point.
Exactly.
You're not fucking watching your kids.
You're not watching life. Your life's just,
you're just flying through it. Just it's all right. I'll just be that guy that goes out and just earns. I'll just keep earning, and that's what I'm supposed to do, because that's what Dad did, and that's what his dad did, and that's what his dad did. I think it's I don't think it's just starting now. I think it's been happening for a long time, but there are a lot of I guess. Maybe it's the internet showing me a few more alternative lifestyles out there, alternative ways to...
Definitely. The internet, I think, for me, was an absolute game changer. There's
Absolutely.
no doubt about it, for me personally. I think in terms of being able to tap into information and listen to people speak, or watch a podcast, or a talk on TED, or whatever, just to be exposed to just this wide spectrum of different lines of thinking, all pretty much having a common denominator, or common denominators, and everyone's coming at it from a different angle and a different approach, but nonetheless, it's an awakening, if you will, of the collective, and Martin and I have had this discussion many times. Over time, you find that you bump into more and more people like-minded, and you find you talk about similar kind of things, and it's more so. I find these kind of conversations I have more so now than 5-6 years ago.
Yeah.
In fact, I would say that 5 or 6 years ago, all this kind of stuff to me was just virtually unknown, or relatively foreign. I mean, for me, when I saw Zeitgeist, that to me, Zeitgeist to me was really the tipping point.
Yeah, and first 15 minutes is insane.
It's good, isn't it?
It's really good.
Totally. And I remember going through a time when, for lack of a better term, the awakening, where I rang Mark one day and I go, dude, I get it now. Oh, fuck. Oh, shit.
I've got some truths that I now know.
Well,
Jack, what are these truths? I was on the way home from the shopping centre. Tell me, what are they?
Yeah. But then, after that discussion, but then he asked, a very poignant question, which was, and a very valid one. He goes, "Okay, Jack, well, that's great. So, what are you going to do with it now? What are you going to do with this?"
I had a guy that I put onto the book. Maybe you've heard of it, Conversations with God.
Yes.
Neil Donald Walsh, right?
Yeah.
It's a life changer for me. It really made a lot of sense to me. And I've coined a phrase years ago. I don't really care about the messenger. I just care about the message. So the goddamn devil could walk into this podcast and sit down where you are actually, with his big cloven fucking hooves and shit, and say, we should all probably just be better to each other. Yeah. Just because the fucking devil said it doesn't mean that it's not true.
Right.
Yeah. So with the conversations with God, you get the idea. The guy's potentially channeling some writing. So a lot of, all the scientists in the room are just going to go, well, get fucked. Channel writing doesn't count, because he could have just made it up, right? But the message was, to me, it resonated so strong, I couldn't put the book down, and I made massive life changes because of it. Yeah. Because the thing about Conversations with God is it's a testable theory. Well, and so what I mean by that is if you're getting up in the morning and you're saying some words that come out of your mouth now that are to alter your day, and instead of saying, well, life happens, fuck it, there's nothing I can do, going, no, fuck that, I am more and more successful every day. And you get up and fucking say that every single day. And we've got all the tools in the world to measure that. And so, you know, you can consider success likes on fucking Facebook. You can consider them money. You can consider it, how well your relationship with your children or your partner or your spouse is, or how better you are at getting guitar or whatever it is. And these are measurable things. And if you keep your eyes open for it and you keep focusing on whatever the fuck it is that you want that you want to be, bearing in mind, obviously, the point with Conversations with God is the wording. It's not, I wish I had more money, or I want more money, or I need more money. You're just going to be in that forever state of wanting or needing.
Yeah.
It's that I fucking have more money. I'm getting more and more money every day. I am.
Yeah.
And I had a good friend that I put onto it, and he came back and we sat down and we had a real nice lunch together one day, and he said, fuck, it's brilliant. Yeah, it's really good. It makes perfect sense. That's great, man. That's really cool. I feel, yeah, it's really, really good. I said, cool. So what are you going to do? He goes, what do you mean? So what are you going to do now? I asked him exactly the same question. So what are you going to do with this new information? I don't know. What do I do? Oh, you didn't get it. Try it, for fuck's sake. Try it.
Yeah.
Try it.
It's so
Put it
true.
to use.
Yeah.
What are your new daily mantras because of this?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Yeah, and I think that's getting proven. Well, say proven. It's becoming more and more evident. Is that the power of our thought, how it controls our reality? Quantum physics is now proving, suggesting, theorizing, whatever you want to call it. I see it as proof because that's what I believe.
There's definitely some proof in terms of
that,
how
our observation actually shapes our reality. And so, it'd be common sense to think that if you're thinking a certain way, then you're obviously seeing your reality from a certain perspective as well. So it's just a matter of going in there and rewiring that thought process.
Absolutely.
So it's like saying, actually, there's a water bottle here. I don't know if you guys can see it, but it says love and gratitude on it. I've had this for a few years now. There's a Japanese researcher called Masaru Emoto, who I don't know if you guys saw, did a little experiment on the effects of thought on water molecules. So, I mean, I do that because every time I look at it and I drink from it, I'm thinking that. So, his whole idea was that if thought can change matter, like a water molecule, so if you're saying love and gratitude, and we're made up of like whatever it is, 70% water, then obviously that's going to affect what's going on with us materialistically, energetically, and everything. So, I totally resonate with exactly what you're saying there.
But I think science now is starting more and more to prove more of this kind of stuff, in terms of understanding how your mind works. When people say you bring things into your reality, well, we've got this thing called the reticulating activating system in our brain. Yeah. So when we're sitting down, and I've just started this new practice that I not dismiss, but I never really kind of fully embrace, of journaling. And the idea of the journaling is primarily to just bring the more and more things to the attention, of that reticulating activating system. It's like why is it at a party, and it'll only flag things up that are important to you. For example, if you're at a party and you're having a conversation with someone, you just are talking away, and all of a sudden you hear someone call your name from 10 feet away. You're there, because that's what it flags is things that are things about what's dangerous or what's important to it, which is what you feed it, and that therefore what it brings attention to. So your name, it's important. Oh shit, I'm going to just go there. And there's a reason why under hypnosis you could be under hypnosis, and because that part of your brain just absorbs everything. People have been able to recount every conversation in that party, regardless of whether they're engaged in it or not, because it's all been absorbed. Yeah, you see. Exactly. So that's why when people say, "Why is it why is it now that I see so many BMW M4s?" Because I've just got my attention there. And so now. So there's a science there as well. It's not just woo-woo fucking bullshit,
Yeah.
So anyway, it's interesting how science is kind of coming up with all this stuff now.
Yeah, man, definitely. It's exciting stuff. And I think that's that integral approach to life as well, like science, whatever you want to call it, the woo-woo stuff, or I just call it like nature or whatever, life. It's playing itself out, frequencies, vibrations, whatever you want to term it. But there is a place where they can actually coexist. It's not like that versus that anymore, which I think that's what we've kind of been taught.
It's difficult though. It's difficult with your average person, unfortunately, for that not the dichotomy, but for those two sort of somewhat
synergy
opposing principles to coexist.
Yeah,
there aren't too many areas where that happens. But it's nice to meet people that do appreciate, both sides of it. The scientific approach, but also maybe the corroborating evidence or the spiritual stuff, or even actually being able to, like I said, not the messenger, but the message.
Yeah,
just
that's
actually
right.
allowing something to resonate with you.
But I think it's important also to be open to it all, because I think the more, as interesting as this is, and as much as the exploration is great and it's fun and it can be enlightening and you can come across some interesting realizations, I think I'm becoming more and more comfortable, especially of late, to be content just living within the question and just being open to whatever. I think that's the thing. This is why we have so much division, because it's easy to get locked in, whether through cultural means or whether through your own belief system. You lock into a certain pattern, and you're told, well, this has been written on old clay tablets thousands of years ago with no corroboration, verification. It's just you're told. It's almost as ridiculous as saying, well, because Walt Disney told us that it was Mickey Mouse and Donald Duck, that they exist, and that's. Oh, I'm open to it. I'm open to it, dude. I'm completely open to it. But do you know what I mean? So I think it's important. At least I think it's important to remain open to all kinds of stuff, and I'm always interested in hearing other people's views. If you're going to shove things down my throat with your dogmatic approach, and you kind of lost me. But but some of the most interesting conversations I had clients with Jehovah's Witnesses, man, and I knew nothing about them until we sat down, but they were cool motherfuckers, man. There was no agenda on there, and to enlist me or anything like that. But it was just interesting to sit back and, okay, well, this is cool. This is
Get a different perspective,
And I think in order for you to be able to debunk or debate something, it's like why, Sam Harris is a guy whose work I really, really love, but he can sit down and he will sit down with religious scholars, but he'll sit down and tell you, bring a counter argument, because he's read the Quran, he's read the Bible, he's read all these religious texts. He's well versed in that area. So it's not, well, I'm a scientist, I'm an atheist, and that's it. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? So at least he can bring. It doesn't matter whether the argument was right or wrong, but at least he's bringing something constructive to challenge people's thoughts.
Exactly. Yeah.
So anyway,
that's right, man. I totally agree.
I'm slightly registered with the Jehovah's Witnesses of Epping or whatever it is.
What do you mean slightly?
I'm glad you asked. I had a couple of old ladies come over, and they asked, they gave me some pamphlets and stuff, and they were talking about, it was Easter or something, and that's my dog squeezing a toy, by the way. It was Easter, and they were saying, given the resurrection and all of this sort of stuff, and I dropped a bit of zeitgeist action on them, right? And they were cool about it. They were fascinated, but they were like, they were not quite recoiling, but they were fascinated enough to stand there and talk with me. And I said, look, I won't be signing up. I certainly won't be joining the church, but I'll stand on my driveway and talk with you, right? A couple of weeks later, I get a handwritten letter from a guy called Jamie or something. He leaves his postal address on there, saying, more stuff, other things, handwritten, put in my letterbox. So I hand wrote him a letter back and said, I appreciate what you're trying to say. I really do, but there's 37,500 different variations of Christianity, and they've all got different interpretations. They all have really quite strict rules, effectively, in how they live their lives. So how can this strict rule here be different to this strict rule over here? And they're 10 kilometers apart. It's ridiculous. And I just rattled off a bunch of things, And then, another month or so later, 3 dudes roll up. Are you Martin? Yeah, I'm Martin. They've got my name. They've got me address. They know who I am. Yeah, and they don't just
come for a chat.
They've come for a chat. Yeah,
they're going to get you, man, by stealth. By stealth. Dude, they're gonna get you.
Yeah, they like.
When you least expect it.
That's it. They seem to like talking to me, which is.
You'll be having a shower one day, and they'll be like, "Hey, Martin."
That's right. And I rattled off that whole, because we talked about that. One of them came and he talked about the, the resurrection. Again, it was at Easter time, I think, and because that's, it's one of the times, I guess, when they try to roll up. I said, the sun. Sort of, what happens up between the 23rd, 22nd, 23rd, 24th of December, how the sun,
Winter
goes up, and, that sort of stuff, and effectively doesn't move up or down in the sky. It just stays exactly the same, or effectively dies for 3 days, and then on the 25th of December, just happens to be the first day that sun kind of rises by 1 degree, and it's around about where the Southern Cross is, because it's summer over here at the time, and then the whole, don't get me started. And the dude was like, I'm going to go and check that up. Please go and check that out. I'd like you to. Do not believe a word I say. The last thing I want to do is roll up to your house and tell you a whole bunch of shit that you just believe straight off the fucking bat. No, go and do your fucking research, man. Exactly. Absolutely. Yeah. So Yeah, I think these guys have rolled up about 5 times in the last 3 years. Hey, Martin, yeah, what up? I'm not going to join your church, but I'll have a chat.
Surely there's a song out of this.
Absolutely, yeah, that's right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, what rhymes with Jehovah? I don't know.
I don't know either.
I'm over.
I'm over Jehovah.
I'm Jehovah's.
Bang! There it is, right there. There it is, right there.
Yeah. So actually, there's a guy that actually did a. I'm just trying to find online here. He did these lectures that were interesting. I actually sat down, and it was a while ago, but it was fascinating. Now, other people could say, well, it's always easier to be able to make things fit according to your agenda and your your plan. But effectively,
Science has been doing it for 100 years.
Yeah. But essentially, he talked about the Christianity, the Bible, and how it all pertained to the zodiac, and 12 disciples represented the 12 zodiac signs, and Jesus being the sun. Mm-hmm. So, and there was just a lot of parallels that he was bringing, to Scripture and the zodiac, and the zodiac system and stuff. So
it's cool.
Zeitgeist did the same thing. Yeah. Talked about the same
just
thing.
Trying to find this guy's name, but anyway, you continue on.
I see. So, what's the most fuckedest thing that's ever happened to you?
The most fuckedest thing? Far out, man.
Not what happened before we arrived. Please.
Yeah.
I could kind of. I thought I could smell something.
Yeah. Fuckedest thing.
What's the fuckedest thing that's happened to you?
Man, I don't know if there's anything fuckedest. Is it really fuckedest? I mean, you look at it and you go, well, it's all...
Being born?
All right.
Being born.
Well, you think about it, it's a traumatic event. I can't remember it. That's how traumatic it is.
Let me rephrase the question. Of all the... Jack kind of prefaced this podcast with that you're a spiritual guy, etc. And is there anything? Let's just say we were researching together, and I said, all right, well, I'll get to the question if I can just word it. If the words can come out of my goddamn mouth, is there anything in that spiritual realms that you've seen where you've gone, I can't explain that, but like any magical shit that's come out to you?
Yeah.
Cool. Hit me.
Well, I grew up in Brazil, in Rio.
Here we go.
Where's it is, I think, the biggest Catholic population apart from Vatican City.
Sure.
But they also have this African influence that comes through. So a lot of spirituality comes through from the African kind of culture. And one of them in particular is a sect called Umbanda, which my dear mother was a part of. And as a kid, like I remember the first. So my mum's a medium, right? So she can channel these spirits and guardians, whatever you call it. And I have this vivid.
So she's not a large lady.
No, she's medium. And I had this memory as a kid where I was at this. It must have been a gathering, I guess, or some kind of ceremony. And in front of my eyes, my mum kind of changed. Mm-hmm. She was still her. Her whole energy was different. Her face was different. And I was really scared at the time. So what's going on here? I wasn't at a level where I could understand it. But, growing up and then having her explain it. And, she's a beautiful, beautiful person. I love my mother dearly. And she's always got that energy over the family. Mm. Now I can understand it a lot more. That's a memory that still sits pretty good with me.
Can you describe any more? Did her voice change?
Yeah, I don't explain it, mate. I was probably 4 years old or something. Voice, face, energy. It wasn't her.
What do you think came through?
It was one of her spirit guides, I guess you'd call it.
Okay.
And she's told me about them.
Yep.
So I'm familiar with them now, but I haven't seen it since. But I think it was that was a pretty interesting experience.
Did you ever speak to her about it afterwards?
Yeah, I still talk to her now about it.
And what did she say? What did she say about it?
Well, she kind of explains that she's got, I think, 3 or 4 guardians that are around her, and she calls on them when she feels like she needs guidance or like a protection or anything like that. And so they come through and give messages. Mm-hmm. I guess it's the way it works. So I hope she doesn't mind me saying this. I'm sure she won't. But anyway, I mean, that's as much as I know about it. But I totally understand it now. Like as a kid, I couldn't. I get it. I understand like these kind of entities. Like I've had other experiences where you've ingested substances and, I had connections with aliens and shit like that. Mm-hmm. It's been pretty cool. So I definitely feel that, there's more out there than what we can physically feel, touch, see,
beyond our
with
senses.
our five senses, and it's just a matter of activating those certain areas of the brain. Some people can do it naturally. Some have got the gift. Others we need to, smoke some DMT or whatever it is. But they definitely exist in my mind anyway. But then I'm open to that belief being shattered as well.
Well, yeah, I guess that's the thing. It's I remember talking about this with a friend of mine. Said, "Oh, you're a hippie now." I says, "No, it's not. I'm a hippie. It's I've just allowed myself to be open to the possibility."
Yeah.
And as you said, we experience this world through our five senses, and it's such a small slither of, again, quantum physics tells us that in the world where everything is a wave and not a particle, it's something like 99.99 to the power of 6 percent of possibility. So it's virtually, a particle could, just depending on the observer and the intent of the observer, just pop up anywhere. So there's an infinite possibility. Yeah. Once you have an intention on something, everything just zeroes right down into this particle world, which is a fraction of what's out there. So if science is telling us that, then it's just, well, not to say that you should completely have complete utter faith, but faith can only exist when there's no frame of reference. Other than that is belief. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So, and the other side of on one side of the coin you got faith, the other side is doubt. So that's the thing we're going between. Faith and doubt. So when your faith is stronger than doubt, then it's a different place than when your doubt is stronger than your faith. So, yeah, man, I think it's good to be. I think for me personally, this is just me. Hey, I'm no expert. I know fuck all. I'm a dumb cunt. But hey, my story for this point in time is no. So, and I don't say dumb cunt in a. I'm not putting myself down here, Martin. I'm just attempting to be jocular. Okay.
Yeah.
But it's just good to be open to things, because we all change, we all evolve, and the belief systems that I had as a teenager are different to one in my 20s. That are different now that I'm in my 50s. And who's to say it could change all again? I could just completely dismiss this whole thing as bullshit when I'm 65. I don't know.
Exactly.
But I'm open to it.
Yeah.
I'm completely fucking open to it. And if anyone can sit me down and say, hey, listen, let me open your eyes to something and give me some compelling evidence and some examples that can make me go, wow. Then, because that's how I changed to where I'm right now, because someone sat me down or read a book or heard a podcast, whatever. But something there that just resonated with me and made me go, okay, this is interesting. And sort of took me on this trajectory and that trajectory. So I think it's great to live in the question. I think, we struggle with this thing of like certainty. And again, recently I'm learning that there is no fucking certainty. And the minute you let go of the need for control, right? And that there is no fucking certainty, and be happy knowing that. That, if life is like a fucking chessboard with black and white squares, you're never going to hit, and if the white squares are good and the black squares are bad, right? You're never gonna fucking hit always white squares. Yeah. Someone put a fucking a tablecloth over that and they said, okay, now step on the squares. Yeah. Yeah. You know what I mean? You're gonna fucking hit a black one here and there. Yeah. That's just the way it is. So once you kind of let go of that the need for control and the need for certainty, then you can just get on with living and just be fucking happier doing that.
I think getting over the need to pigeonhole everything. The guy that said to you, "Oh, you're a hippie now," what good does that do? Pigeonholing you as a hippie, all that does is it just adds all these extra connotations that he can go, okay, great, he falls into this category now with all this other shit. That's not the case at all. Yeah. But
here's the other thing. He is operating at his own level of awareness, and I think we all are. Everyone is, so it's like why don't we get upset at a 3-month-old baby that's shitting in their pants in their nappy? They're 3 months old. Now, I'm not suggesting this guy has an intellect of a 3-month-old child, but for me to get upset about it is not helpful, really, because that's where he's at. That's where he's at. And I'm sure there's people who look at me and probably think, well, he's operating at that level of awareness.
I think we judge each other all the time. Absolutely.
That's the key there. It's hard to, because that's, you stereotype all the time. I meet someone's like, have an idea of who he is before I've even shaken his hand, or, your mind just does that naturally, I guess, it's conditioned to. But I think, being able not to judge, and it's still, a lesson that we're all learning. I think that's where those connections can, that illusion of separateness can bring us together.
A book that I didn't mind as well. It pretty much everybody's heard of, as well as the Power of Now by Eckhart Tolle.
Yeah.
That and Conversations with God went kind of hand in hand with me, and one that, because you've got to be able to focus your thoughts in order to create that reality. But if your thoughts are just clouded by constant fucking chatter all day, and part of that chatter is judgment. You see a woman and she's got something, and you judge that something. Yeah. You see a man, he's got something, you judge that something. And so all that chatter and all that stuff's going on, when really you could just stop, forget about the fucking judgment, and just talk to that person. And it makes you a better listener, it makes you a better speaker, it makes you more focused at doing things, and therefore it also makes you create your own reality better. So, when Eckhart Tolle says, magical shit happens to you, it fucking does, because you're paying attention to it.
Exactly. It's not clouded, yeah.
If you see what do you call it, coincidences, what's the synchronicities. You're more open to synchronicities. You're more open to bump into that person and go, fuck, what is he doing here? I better probably stop and have a quick chat. You shouldn't be here. What the hell? Those sorts of things. And when I was reading that, and I was really focused on it and being mindful about, a bad thought comes into your head, and you use, the Neil Donald Walsh's method, where he says, no, I don't choose that option. But what if my girlfriend gets on a bike and she fucking has a crash? Well, I don't choose that option.
Yeah.
I'm not going to create that reality. So out you go. Fuck off, mate.
Yeah.
Let's just go with, she's just going to get on a bike and she's going to ride to work.
I thought it was quite funny that Martin, a few years back, he rings me. He said, "Oh, I was on a train. I was on the train on the way home from work, and I found a book on the train about synchronicities."
Yeah. it was on the ground, and it was called fucking Synchronicity in You or something. And I looked down and I go, well, what the fuck am I going to do? Am I going to pick it up or not? I've got to pick that up.
You got it.
Yeah. It wasn't that good. It was average, but it was all about the synchronicities and shit.
Yeah.
And when I finished with it, I put it back on the train.
on the train. Past the Dutchie. That's so good. That's awesome, man.
One interesting, I guess, spiritual type things that happened to me, just a small one, which I can't explain. I had a precognitive dream.
Mm-hmm.
I eat prunes and dates and nuts and seeds and things for nutrition, etc., etc. And I live just around the corner from a Middle Eastern supply store, which just happens to sell
and nuts
the best fucking shit in the world, which I can't live without now. I can't live without hummus. I can't live without fucking tzatziki and fucking za'atar bread and shit. It's my life now. I can't even move out of the suburb. Anyway, so one night I have a dream that I cracked my top left molar on a prune. So I wake up in the morning and it's vivid. I'm like, fuck, holy shit. All right, cool. Be careful. So, I'll have one or two a day every time I come home from work or whatever. And so every time I put those prunes in my mouth, I was just, because they're seedless, they're seeded. So, you kind of separate it carefully, and I was just careful, right? 5 days later, I smashed my tooth on a date. I didn't think about dates. Fucking dates. Man. Same tooth. Same little black slimy fucking thing. Yeah. And what I judged in my head, and this is what they say about remote viewing, is not to allow you to judge what you see. Just see and describe what you see, because as soon as you start judging it, that thing turns into a distortion pedal. It wasn't a distortion pedal; it was a grenade. You know what I mean? Or what the fuck? You know what I mean?
Exacerbated it.
Yeah, just gonna look at distortion pedals. But and so I 5 days after having that dream, I chipped the exact same tooth on a fucking date.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
So for me,
was she a hot one?
Good one. Yeah, nice one. Yeah, good. Yeah, good one. Well done. Yes. So yeah, that's one of many little weird little things.
It happens all the time. You just you pay attention. Just pay attention.
But is that also? Right. But then does this also maybe revert back to this reticulating activating system as well, in terms of when you put your awareness to certain things, or remind yourself of certain things, or write things down constantly, that as soon as that is there, then it'll flag.
But even I think it's more
just devil's advocate question.
Maybe it's because you got thoughts, but what's the energy behind the thought? Sometimes that's the actual. For me, I sometimes see that as being the driving mechanism of what then we perceive as our reality. Because, and if you're aware of that, then you can say, well, is that coming from a good place? Like, I might want to. I'm trying to think of an example. Okay, let's say I want to help charity, or I want to feed the homeless. Now, the thought is a good thought. The energy behind it, is it because I want to make myself feel better, because I want to be seen as being doing something good, or is the energy because I enjoy connecting with people and everyone's equal? So the action and the thought are the same, but the energy behind that's driving the action and the thought are totally different.
But there is but I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
However, in doing good, whatever that is, charity, helping people, what have you, is there's an automatic, at least in my experience, an automatic feel good thing. I think as long as you're not worrying, you throw your pebble in the pond, not worrying about where that ripple's going to end up.
Yeah.
I think that's where the authenticity comes from.
Yeah.
So long as you're just throwing the pebbles, it doesn't matter. I don't think so anyway. But I hear what you're saying though, and it's a valid point.
For me, it kind of does matter where the ripples end up. If I can, I much prefer the local charity or the local helping people, helping a person that I've met, that I know, that I've come across, with giving them a piece of fucking furniture or something like that, because I can see the end result. One thing that really bothers me is when you do give to XYZ charities and then you just hear later on that, actually, do you know that only 22% of that gets to blah blah blah. That fucking annoys the shit out of me.
Yeah.
And just handing out money, signing over a bunch of money to a charity, sure. I totally get that there's benefits and you're helping, yes. But to me, maybe it's the look on the person's face. Even if they're not really grateful, it's just the fact that it's just gone. It's just one step. It's just one link in the chain.
Yep.
It's not fucking 22 links in the chain to get some money over to fucking wherever it needs to go.
Yeah.
I'm certainly not judging anybody that does give to any charity. I think
Sure.
giving.
It's just your preference.
It's just the way I prefer. Just see a stranger on the street and go, okay, I see your problem. The other day a fucking homeless dude, asked me for money or whatever. I said, fuck, I haven't got any money, but you can have these sunglasses.
Yeah,
what
right.
the fuck? And they were frog skins, Oakley frog skins, right?
Yeah.
I found them at a fucking garage sale for $1. I don't give a fuck. Who gives a shit? But this dude was beside himself. Are you fucking serious, man? Yeah, dude, I don't give a fuck. Probably a little bit scratched and shit, but
in terms of this whole wave, thing you were saying before, it's like one of the things I do, I got a thing at a local cafe called Jack's Jar. And I just put money in every week, and I just tell the people, someone comes along, they're running it, they've got no money,
take it out of the JJ.
Just take it out of there. So that's a situation where I don't know where the waves are going. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. But I know that, who doesn't like receiving some kind of goodwill?
How would you feel though if that was being abused?
That's right.
Well, I guess. That's a good question, and I don't think in this particular instance it has been, but $50 is pretty hard to abuse. $50. In this situation, it's money that just goes directly to. The money ends up in the till of the cafe, but ultimately it's really the people getting the coffee or the donut or fucking the lunch or
really though you're helping the establishment. Because the establishment of the guys, as far as any gratitude or any kind of like, holy fuck, this dude's rad, is only ever really going to come from the staff that work there, right? So you are getting, the waves are hitting those guys, and I think that's where potentially the main bit comes. Yes, the end result's going to somebody who needs it, that's fine. Therefore, it doesn't fucking matter whether it's abused, because the gratitude and the relationship is expanded between you and the cafe.
Yeah. But then the money that these people would have spent on the coffee, then they can go off and do something else with it. So
absolutely.
It's still, but what you're saying before about charities, and it's one of the reasons why our foundation likes to look for smaller, more grassroots organisations, because you want to know that the vast majority of the money is going to get used for the intended cause, rather than administration. And yes, of course, charities need to run, especially if they're big, but there's a lot of small organisations that do it really fucking hard, and for them, just to be able to put coffee in the kitchen and tea bags and milk in the fridge, for them is a big deal. So
I love what you do with the Jack the Bear Foundation. It's really awesome, man. Every time I see it, I'm like, oh, that's so cool.
Thanks, man.
It's really good. I wish I could master it all the time.
Yeah, well, that's okay. Look, it's a small initiative, and it was born out of again just understanding that your abundance comes from being abundant, and working in the music industry, as we all know, it's tough, and it's been very good to me, and to be able to have done what I've done for many years.
What have you done? You've been on this podcast. We've done this is about our 9th episode, is it? I believe.
Yeah.
It's never come up. What is it?
What's that?
What's the Jack the Bear Foundation?
I want to hear that.
Okay. It's awesome. Basically, every 4, 5, 6 weeks, depends. I offer people an opportunity to master their tracks by me for a donation of whatever they want to part with. and all the money that we raise on the day gets forwarded to a different nominated charity. We try and find smaller, more grassroots situations. Last month we raised $1,000 for the Big Umbrella, who have gone over there and been using that money for to help rebuild Nepal after the earthquakes over there. Because, to give you an idea, $1,000 in Nepal is enough money to feed, clothe, house, and give medical attention for a child for a whole year.
Wow.
Yeah, and to do it adequately, not at a not at a bare minimum, and not at, but still, what every child really has a birthright to have,
So if you're planning on having children, have it in Nepal.
Yeah, basically, yeah. So so that's what we do. So we try and we try and share it around and with different organisations, but we also do a little bit of kind of off under the radar kind of stuff. Things like Martin, as you do, you go out, you see someone need a bit of help, who. Obviously who need it or who want it, but that's pretty much what we do. So it's my way of just giving back something, because I've been very fortunate with the success I've had in my my work and to achieve what I've achieved, and so again, just to help musicians out and do something good for the community, and a way of showing myself that I'm abundant, because your abundance comes from being abundant yourself. So that's how. That's awesome. How that all came about.
Saying that you're abundant, it gets back to the conversations with God type scenario. It's that announcing to the universe constantly that I have, and if you keep doing that, the research that I've done and the experimentation that I've done is you just continue to have. But if you lie and you cheat and you steal, you're announcing to the universe that you don't have. There's never enough. If you have to keep cheating somebody for the business, you could be doing turning over $10 million a year, and if you have to sort of dip in and to databases and look at things and steal and go, I could take that opportunity. I shouldn't, but I know I can. It doesn't matter how many fucking millions of dollars you're turning over. There's always going to be some drama, some shortage, some problem. You just because you're constantly announcing to the universe there isn't enough. I say that to people. I don't get lied to that often that where it comes up, but when I suspect that I'm being lied to, I love to drop that. If you lie, you're just announcing that there isn't enough, and there never will be enough. You'll always be in that position. We're at about 47 minutes, so we're gonna fly.
Yeah. Okay. Good. All right then. Sweet.
Thanks, Gab.
Thanks for having me, guys.
Thank you for coming.
It was awesome. My friend. Really appreciate it.
It was a really great chat. I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, same here. Thank you so much for having me.
So we'll see you guys on the flip side. Hopefully we're going to have next podcast will be with a guy called Dane Thomas, who wrote a book called The Conscious Hustle. I've only just met Dane online, but cool motherfucker, interesting cat, lots of great life experiences, and so looking forward to chatting with him when we do our next podcast. But anyway, thanks again.
Thanks very much.
Love you, blokes.
See you next time.
See you next time.
Cheers.
Ciao.